真无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering, attempt bliss, and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi samyao samputoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi samyao samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All right, Stacy, appreciate the Dharma request. Thank you for that. Let's continue with our protocols here. And I'm going to cross my legs so I can focus. There we go. The next thing in our protocol is to invoke spiritual presence. 那我们法清好了，我们继续殷勤华严海会佛菩萨，还有天龙八部护法上身，莅临道场，祝福各位。Okay, let's make that sincere request. Here we go. Furthermore, we will continue. We're going to look for the acknowledgement of country for the Pomo people, which is right here. There we go. We say, the Pomo people practice spiritual connections to the earth and all creation. Here, that is to say, Yo-keo Yukaya, Deep Valley, Shangu, Nali. for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们就说，我们恭敬地承认婆摩人在我们寺院所在地的传统居士和守护人，我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay, and we also have the bell song, which Master Hua encouraged us to incorporate. 我们还有这个 bell song 口中机。Bells sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他诺厚德。There we go, by golly. Alrighty. We have done the protocols to get us underway. And let's see here. Alrighty. Here we go. We have 99 friends online. And I'm going to go quickly through the places. 已经有99位朋友在餐厅。So we administrators are at City of 10,000 Buddhas, and they're in the Ukiah Valley. We also have friends here from Oroville, Washington, Stockton, California, Redwood Valley, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Newbury Park, California, San Francisco, okay, Los Angeles, Sunnyvale, Alameda, Calgary, Montreal, Antioch, Round Rock, Texas, Dublin, Ohio, Alameda, San Jose. Okay, where else? Let's see here. Beijing, Northern California, City of 10,000 Buddhas, 大溪学院. Okay. Let's see, where else? Waterloo, Ontario. Lots of Canadians here, east to west. Leonie is in Ukiah. San Francisco, Mai is in San Francisco, San Jose, Vancouver, Bothell, Washington. Let's see here, San Jose, Memphis, Tennessee, Malaysia, Los Altos, San Francisco, LA, Seattle, Oklahoma. Hey, Alameda. Where else here? Let's see here. Virginia, Vancouver, Ukiah, Vancouver, Malaysia. 然后呢，在我们这边的地球。我们地球的这边有北京，赫尔浩特 ，OK， 哈尔滨都是最北方的，中国最北方。还有2位封家从杭州应该是哈，那么朝阳 ，Let's see， 广州、合肥、安徽、北京、吉林、吉隆坡黑龙江，唐山、河北唐山、深圳、包头、内蒙古、北京，大连 ，OK， 北京、湖南、辽宁、黑龙江、台湾、云林，西螺，欢迎，好的，黑龙江、安徽苏州、圣河西，美国，陕西宝鸡、黑龙江、吉林省 ，OK， 张家口、山东，Let's see here， 黑龙江 ，OK。还有什么地方？那河北唐山、黑龙江、苏州，江苏，OK， 呼和浩特、深圳、哈尔滨、北京， let's see here, 鸡西 OK 上海吉隆坡山东深圳上海黑龙江洛阳还有台北市 OK 罗国庆在欢迎各位非常 welcome to everyone glad you're all here now today we usually I want to take into account the fact that folks are just completed 1 week of bowing to the 10,000 Buddhas repentance liturgy, which is quite a lot of work. By golly, that is really hard work and brings great rewards as well for that much effort. So I want to we always balance out sutra and stories coming from Master Shenzong, his biography of going to India to bring back the sutras. So today, because there is a story that requires a couple pages of text, and also because everybody's been working really hard at the repentance, so we're going to do just a bit less sutra and a bit more story today, just to let you know. 就说大家在圣城在非常辛苦的在用功办道拜万佛宝忏已经1个礼拜了，所以呢大家这么用功。今天晚上我们讲故事，讲多一点的故事因为玄奘大师他去印度取经，这个碰到一个情形，需要2夜的连着讲，不然就大家就听不到结果了，要等下个礼拜才知道怎么一回事。不能说告一段落就走了，那大家哎呀 frustrated 所以呢就避免那个情形，我们就讲故事讲多一点今天。Got it? Okay, here we go. Right here. Here's our. Ready? 又劝众生灵起修习，普为寒士，具受众苦，以大智眼关注善根，知其悉以智慧为性，方便回向一切众生，为令一切众生悉得安住一切清净功德处果。Furthermore, Bodhisattvas urge living beings to cultivate and accumulate such practices, take upon themselves all the suffering and anguish that awaits living beings, and contemplate all kinds of good roots with the eye of great wisdom. Knowing living beings' inherent nature is grounded in wisdom, they make skillful dedications to all of them. They do this in order to enable living beings to abide peacefully in pure merit. Okay, we finished the 110 in order to enable living beings to that long section, describing the motives behind why bodhisattvas feel happy when they transfer merit. So, having finished that, we're back kind of like another breath. That was 110 bows out. There's an inhale, and now there's a fewer, but it's the same energy here. Bodhisattvas urge living beings to do 3 things here. Cultivate and accumulate practices like we just learned. Take on themselves others' suffering, and then look at good roots with the eye of great wisdom. All right, unpack that, please. Get that out of Buddhist jargon into ordinary language. So it says, Bodhisattvas want living beings to get happy like them, and the way you do it is you cultivate. You absorb a practice and make it your own. Further, get in the way of karma. Set yourself into the stream of action and reaction and take on the reaction. Some people are going, yeah, I didn't know you could do that. I thought it was you harvest what you plant. So we'll get there. And then number 3, in the world, as you go about the day, take a look, open up your wisdom eye, and look at the good that people do. Look at the good in human nature and imitate it. Contemplate it, it says here. Just suffuse, perfume yourself with the goodness in the air. That's what did Master Hua would always say, 近吃者红，近墨者黑. He said 近密者黑, but in that's Dongbei language. 近密者近墨者黑. He was 什么人叫什么人这样子. So Master Hua would always say to us, you take on the colors of those, you take on the color of your environment. So if you draw near rouge or red, you start getting red and pink and red. If you hang around with a lot of dark ink, you turn black. So, in other words, people draw near to their own kind. 什么人叫什么人, he would say. And of course, that's a cautionary warning. That is to say, choose wisely who you're going to hang out with, because you're going to become like them. That was a famous story. Everybody knows 孟母三迁, right? Mencius's mother moved 3 times. Great story. Mencius's mother was a complete believer in that principle. And so she saw her son growing up, and next door to where their family had settled in was a butcher shop. And Mencius's mother looked over at the butcher and his family and saw that it's a time-honored occupation, but it involves killing. And she understood cause and effect, and she didn't want her son to have to have his body chopped up in the future for wanting to become a butcher, we become what we behold, So she moved. And the next place they moved was outside a cemetery. And the grave diggers were busily digging graves because there was no shortage of bodies to bury. And Mencius's mother said, I don't want my son to get in his mind that being a grave digger is a wholesome occupation. I aspire for him to advance. So then they moved next to a school, and Mencius's mother was very happy to have her son associate with people who learned principle, who passed on knowledge, who stored up history and intelligence and such. So Mencius's mother moved 3 times. And sure enough, her son grew up to be a wise and learned person. So those are the 3 things. And knowing the being's inherent nature is based in wisdom, in the empty space that allows the light of wisdom to pervade, they dedicate to them all. And now we get 6 more in order to enable living beings to live peacefully in pure merit. So not merit tainted by selfishness. Okay, 那我就说了我再来用中文。你们各位习惯听我这个杨法师的磕磕巴巴的中文，抱歉，你们恐怕你们的耳朵讲得好累哈。不过呢，就这样子就没人帮我翻译今天，所以呢，还是自己给自己翻译了。OK， 所以你们都可能已经习惯了。哎呀，这个杨法师的这种不中不西、南腔北调的怪话啊。他说，菩萨劝众生要令其修习，普为寒湿，具受众苦，以大智言关注善根。OK， 3个不同的希望劝众生希望他们的修习然后就修诸恒，然后呢为一切众生受苦带众生受苦， 这样可以吗？你就说，有因有果，自如是因如是果，自作自受呢？还有自作他受呢？有办法啊，不过都要清楚，这样子不能随便的哈。然后呢，以大智眼关注众生，看看什么哪里有好业、有善业、有好事发生，希望众生都会看到了，就自己就模仿，自己就效法了。智气系以智慧为性，方便回向一切众生，那个就是一种大的回向愿。为什么？为令一切众生悉得安住一切清净功德处故，因为那个关系了，所以有这么一个回向。这三个最初有3个原因，劝众生要向这个方向。这个就说关注善根，就说哪里这个菩萨知道我们人是这样子，我们会模仿榜样，我们会效法人的这个例子，我们都会效法了所以师父会常常劝我们说，近痴者轰，近密者，近墨者，近密者黑。所以呢，要小心什么人叫什么人就孟子的母亲就搬家搬3次。第一次呢，他们的这个孟子的父亲呢，把他们搬到一个屠夫的这个屠宰场的隔壁了。哇，孟子的母亲呢，看到这个情形，他说，做屠夫杀众生为业呢，就是恐怕有杀业在内，所以呢，我希望我的儿子可以另外受他的影响。所以他就搬家，第2次搬家，搬到哪里？搬到一个坟墓场旁边。我坟墓场有这个挖出土地，就准备埋葬这些死尸了，棺材。他就说这样子我不愿意我儿子就有这种的行业，所以又搬家一次。搬到哪里？搬到学校的旁边哪里可以的？希望他儿子都可以听到那个书生在那里，弟子规，圣人训，首孝悌，子敬信，泛爱众，而亲仁，有而立，看小说不看 Netflix， 不要有余力看手机，不是所以他说这里可以的，我儿子他愿意做学者读书的人，那就可以了。所以孟子的母亲明白这个道理我们都会近痴者轰。你如果常常碰到红色的这个东西了，慢慢的你的手就红色、粉红色，然后深红色。你如果常常有墨水，你的手就会黑了。所以什么人叫什么人我们都要选择自己的伴侣。OK， 所以那么这里我还有一句都要讲清楚，等一下我回来Now, this business about taking on suffering for others, what is it about the stream of karma? We understand the principle that what do they say? You alone receive the results of the actions you do. How is it the case that you can take on suffering for others? Well, anyone who has looked at Master Hsuanhua's 18 Great Vows knows that one of Shifu's vows is he vows to completely take all the blessings that he himself should enjoy and give them away to living beings. And then, following that one, he says, all the suffering that living beings should come to them for the bad karma that they do, I myself will take it on. So there you have a living example, that is to say, in our lifetime, of Master Hua making a vow like that. And if you ask me what are the mechanics of it, how does it actually work? I can't tell you, but I know it does. It has to do with the clarity of mind of the person who makes the vow. And I want to, you know how they say kids don't try this at home? There was a period at Gold Mountain when people were making vows. They were just kind of spontaneously emerging. I remember the monks and the nuns. When I first heard it, I was still a layman, listening and helping to translate. And I remember Bhikshuni Heng Sure, who recently passed away, and others would get in front, take a stick of incense, walk around the Buddhas, bow and say, I disciple Gopu, and others make this vow that in life after life I want to appear wherever the Avatamsaka Sutra is being explained and to help translate it, or something like that. I vow that in every lifetime I will follow my teacher, leave the home life, etc. People would make these vows. It was really amazing how, without coaching, without planning, spontaneously people were moved to do this. And there was one person who, I forget who it was, who said, I want the suffering of every living being to land on my head instead. I'm going to take on all their suffering. And Shifu from the Dharma seat went, no. He said, you think this is a game? He said, you don't have the Dharma strength to absorb all that suffering. You will, if you make that vow here in front of the Buddhas, you'll die because it's too much suffering. You can't bear it. He says, this is not just an exercise. He said, you can't make vows that your Dharma strength do not support. So I would encourage you to withdraw that vow. He said, if you can just not get angry so much, that would be fine. Make a vow that suits you. So the person, oh, sure, I didn't know. Right? So these transferences are as real as sunlight. There's no doubt about these. You don't make them carelessly. 各位要知道，这个代众生受苦，这样发愿啊，怎么说呢？就说普为汉士具受众苦。上人的18大愿都有，我愿意把我所有的福报善根尽量的回向给众生，让他们享受我所修来的这个善根啊，众生应该受的所有的苦果、苦难，我一个人代受。师父有这种2个大愿，所以我们就知道这个愿是可发的啊。不过里边不是那么简单。在金山寺有一个时候，这是万佛城还没有实现之前，大家就会自然而然都会拿一支香绕佛3匝，供香跪下，礼3拜，礼佛3拜，然后呢跪下就说我弟子某某都要发愿，然后说自己的愿。这个习惯呢，就是好像听其自然，他们不是提前商量，他们不是计划啊，没有了，那就是这个从他们的自信就流出来了这些愿力。我记得我还是居士的时候，我还没有出了家，我看到恒显比丘尼国普刚刚往生的恒显比丘尼，他就这样做了，然后他就跪下，他发愿说我国普弟子国普在诸佛菩萨前，在师父上人十方三宝前要发这个愿，我愿意生生世世哪里有讲华严经，我都愿意参加这个听经的这个听众，我要参加这个听华严经的这个法会， 我愿意参加这个翻译工作。他说，上人就说，好的，好的，希望你的愿就成就了，早日成就。他说，就这样子，我很受感动，我觉得这个愿力不错不错。So，然后呢，有另外一个修行人，忘了他的是哪一位，他就说，就像地藏菩萨，我愿意完全带一切众生受他们的苦报，我所有众生一切的要受的苦难呢，我一个人代受。商人就说不要了，这样子绝不是敷衍了事啊，这不是小孩子游戏，你不懂。你这么说呢，你的法力会担当吗？他说恐怕你一发这个愿呢，第二天就没有了，你自己不在了。他说这不是怎么说说话而已，那这是真真实实，你的法力够吗？他说那个美国人，我不知道师傅，我听你说，我就也很感动啊，师傅。他说你有这个心是，就说难能可贵的，不过那个是真实的事情。你的法力不够呢，不要乱发愿了。他说你这个坏脾气能改，那就好了，那个是够大的一个愿给你啊，你自己要知道力，知道分呢。他说。So，你 OK 是吧？所以呢，你看这个不是这么容易。我们都知道，发这个愿呢，尤其在正法注释的道场，那是真真实实的这么一回事。So I think the lesson there is that in a monastery where the proper dharma abides, the vows that we make are real and true. And so we want to make them with our whole hearts and have some sense of proportion. Okay, moving on here. 为令一切众生悉能摄受一切善根，知主公的性其义故。In order to enable living beings to encompass all good roots and understand the nature and principle of merit. The nature and principle of merit, how does it go? It's 知 to know merit and virtue nature and its righteousness, how it's done. So merit is work done on behalf of others to a good end. That's maybe a kitchen definition. So work done on behalf of others to a good end. So is it merit if you go out and rob a bank and give the money away? No, there's no merit in stealing from your left hand in order to pay your right hand. That's not what it's talking about. There has to be this aspect of wholesomeness in it. But key to there being merit or no merit is doing it purely. That is to say, done without taxing on behalf of yourself. Taxing the merit, taking a portion of it, like got to pay tax. The goodness that you do is done selflessly. And that's harder than it sounds. You really do it with the thought of no portion of goodness for yourself. And strangely enough, by doing it that way, you get all the goodness as well as the merit coming true for others. 就说知主公的性其义，菩萨愿意众生都可以舍受善根，然后知道那个功的那个功是怎么一回事，怎么那个功的性是什么呢？就说你做的事情是为他人做而且呢是往善去做，怎么会全部的功给你吗？ 因为你没有伤那个好处啊，那个善根，你不扣税。什么样的税呢？就说没有丝毫不是为自己，连丝毫都不为自己。你做的，你完全是知道这是应该做的去做。然后呢，这个好奇怪，我们这样做呢，整个这个好处回来给你啊。Okay, now I want to let's go down. Let's do half bows to the Buddha. Just one moment while we get arranged here. Let me say while I'm setting up that if 如果大家愿意听普通话，就说国语的中文的翻译啊，我们有办法。你软体的控制板的右下角哪里就有 interpretation， 你们看到 interpretation 那个英文字 ，click 在那里就有 Chinese 出来了，中文，那你就可以听到我们这儿的发心的义工他的流利的普通话的翻译。Okay, anybody who would like a Chinese translation is available. Look at your lower right corner of your control panel on Zoom, and you'll see interpretation, and Chinese is there. If you would like a Vietnamese, Amitofo. Heng Sure, are you there? Okay. Please allow me to start my video and share my screen. All right. Okay. Hey, what happened? Suddenly I lost my Wi-Fi. Okay, here we go. Yeah, sorry about that. Suddenly the internet gods decided to take away my Wi-Fi. So, okay. Well, thank you all for waiting. I really appreciate it. We didn't lose anybody. 大家抱歉哈，一下下我的网路呢就停了，不晓得，要不得。That's not something you want to have happen. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, where were we? Thank you all for waiting. I really appreciate people's patience. 感恩各位这个忍耐哈。Okay. We were right here, and I was going to come down and tell you a couple stories here. So let's pick it back up where we were. 普为令一切众生于福天境界中种住善法，心无悔悟. In order to enable living beings to plant wholesome practices in the fields of blessings without regret. So, wholesome practices, that's not how I would translate 种住善法. I would say wholesome dharmas, to do good. That's what it means. So to do good in the field of blessings, what would that be? Maybe you have somebody in your home who is experiencing illness. Maybe you have elders who you are taking care of. Those are fields of blessings, both of them. Maybe you have young people who you get to take care of. Maybe you are growing crops to harvest and feed people. That is a literal good roots in a field of blessings. Maybe you're taking care of animals who are otherwise would come to harm. That is all fields of blessings. So if you can do goodness in those fields of blessings, he says, I want all living beings to, in those fields of blessings, plant down good, do good deeds there, put effort there, and don't regret it. I remember a Dharma friend of mine talked about his father, who among his siblings was always called the wallflower. He had, growing up in the Midwest, he had siblings who were very ambitious and go-getters, and they went out and every activity, they always were leaders, student government and theater and athletics and upkeep, service. They were always fighting to be number one, the best. But the younger brother always stayed home to take care of parents. And while everybody else was out partying, he would babysit. And he would take, his idea of a good time was to take the young ones to the city pool on a hot summer's afternoon and watch them while they swam. And those were, he said, although everybody considered this younger brother in the family to be a wallflower, you know the phrase, and to be kind of a loser, in fact, he was one of the happiest hearted people anyone had ever met. He truly always came up on the right side of every chapter of his life because he lived entirely for benefiting others, planting good roots in the others' fields of blessings. 就说在普天境界中种善根，种善法。什么叫那不是亲无回那个什么叫福天呢？福天呢，就说如果你家里都有生病的人，你可以照顾，那就是第一福天。如果你可以养父母的这个年纪大了高龄，可以在那照顾了，那也是第一福天。如果你可以在保护动物就让他们安全的就说住满分的他们的生命那就是福天了又当然有圣福天，还有不同的，那么大家听得懂如果有这个机会呢，那就是种植善法，不应该有任何的疑惑，或者说自己吃亏不好，不是。上人说菩萨就要吃亏。我记得我们僧团里边有个佛友，他就讲他自己的父亲，他说他的父亲有兄弟姐妹，他是小弟弟，那么他的姐姐，他的哥哥都是非常用功的，就说目的热方法忙，他们有任何的这个生命里边的挑战，他们一定要考第一，一定要胜利，这样子呢就不停的在那儿向前进哈。可是这个他的父亲呢，就是兄弟的那一代兄弟的最小，他呢不是，他愿意种普天，他会待在家里照顾父母或者呢，他的这个姐姐哥哥他们都在外边开 party 会这个弟弟呢，他都会把小孩送到游泳池照顾他们，让他们可以好过下午一天。这样子，他说他的父亲呢，一辈子就是做其他人不愿意做的这个事情，结果呢，就心里非常平安愉快的一个人，一点都到最后，他说丝毫的一回就说这种的就说悔过了，他没有了，他就是他心里无愧的一个人，没有丝毫的可惭愧的所以就是这个道理是很真真实实的道理。It's a true principle indeed. 为令一切众生普能摄受一切众生一一皆令取一切智故。In order to enable living beings to gather one another in and guide each other towards omniscient wisdom. To gather one another in, that's an interesting idea. How does that work in Chinese? Let's see here. 普能摄受一切众. So to be able to bring all living beings together and so that they can all head towards wisdom. I don't think that's what the English says, to gather one another in. Usually the gatherer is someone with an eye open to expedience. You can't both of you be expedient. There is the one who devises the wisdom to bring others close, and the other who receives that wisdom and is gathered in. I don't think we can gather one another in. I think that English maybe, to gather everyone in, I think. It says 普能摄受 ，yeah， 那个英文可能不是这么翻的哈，就说愿一切众生能摄受一切众生，没有任何众生不被摄受，那就对了。所有被摄受的众生，皆令取一切之故。还有呢，为令一切众生普摄一切所有善根，以一切与平等回向而相应故。In order to enable living beings to gather in all good roots, so that each and every good root is in consonance with non-discriminating dedication. Whoa, there you go. That sentence will earn you good, probably 75 cents. That's a powerful English construction there. So every good root is in consonance with non-discriminating dedication. You betcha. Okay, yeah. That sounds really good, doesn't it? Sounds like, boy, you could put that in your SAT essay and get into an Ivy League school. May all living beings gather in all good roots, every good root, so that each of them will 相应 will reflect, will be in harmony with. It says, how did it go? In consonance. 相应, it's an interesting idea. So that it matches. That's what 相应 does. So it back and forth, there is harmony with 平等回向. So if we were to use very simple English, it would be, so starting with 普摄, I want all living beings to gather goodness. 普摄一切诸善根, 所有善根. So all kinds of goodness, every kind of goodness is at your disposal. You can do it. Any kind of good deed you can do. And the dedication of that goodness that you make when you transfer, 平等回向 means equal, impartial. It goes out to everybody and it all connects. There you go. That's so that all the goodness that a person can do is dedicated to everybody and it all works together. That's English for each and every good root is in consonance with non-discriminating dedication. Hallelujah. You betcha. 就说他就是最后一个回向的愿，他说普令一切众生普摄为令一切众生普摄一切所有善根，你所有的善根一切的善事你自己都有把握了，然后呢你回向的时候，这个功德呢是分享给所有一切众生，没有一个就例外哈。然后呢，所有不同的善根都有相应处，没有冲突了没有排斥丢掉了。OK， 那就明白了。OK, good. Here we go. Let's talk about good roots. I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to go out here. Let me step away briefly. Here we go. Go out to Karuna News. There it is. I have a story for you. This is a story about, let's see here. Where did she go? Let's see here. Everyday Heroes. Here we go. Okay. Here we are. Let me share my screen. let me tell you a story about Miss O. Here is Miss O. Here she is in her office. 我讲一个故事，谁懂得善根，就不完全是为的善哈。这位是一个教育家，在 Virginia 州，他呢在89岁他就退休，他做67年当教授还有顾问，在一个高中在 Prince William County Virginia，他今年3月份他就在一个养老院就往生了，95岁95高龄。有好几百个人呢，就参加了他的纪念仪式，他的后事啊。那个 auditorium，他们的礼堂就带着他的名字，而他的名字为题。有几百个人呢，就一个一个到这个microphone，就说 Miss O 怎么样影响他啊？他呢，他是怎么一个人？Miss Orlick，Lillian Orlick，他从来没有结过婚呢，他没有生过孩子的。他说他退休，他说他的学生还有他的同事是他的亲戚，六亲眷属。看看这个故事哈。然后呢，因为他是做高中的顾问，哪儿有钱？想不到这个 Lillian Miss O，他就把$100万捐给奖学金，学生可以用啊。他呢67年当教授当顾问。So here's a story about Lillian Orlick, who in Prince Loudoun County, Virginia, taught high school as a counselor and teacher for 67 years. She retired at age 89 and went on to live another 6 years. And when she died, she was in a seniors community at age 95. 10 days later, they had a memorial service. And hundreds of people came and talked about Miss O and how she had helped change their lives. She left $1 million donation to an educational foundation to be used for fellowships for the schools. And it's like, whoa, how did she come up with $1 million? The answer is she lived very frugally. She herself did not use the money on herself. Instead, she got up at 3 a.m, usually, and showed up at school in the dark and worked through the day, and then came over the summers to work every day, to year after year, decade after decade, working to help students. She was a New Yorker, but she moved down to Virginia, and they called her a Yankee, but she didn't care. She went on from teaching to counseling, and they gave her at the start, they gave her the job of dealing with students who had attendance issues, the ones who were cutting school or chronically late. Every single morning, she would call the kids on her list to remind them it was time to get up and go into school, how important that was, and then come and see her in her office, so they knew that they actually came. She would come to school every day at 3 a.m., work through the summers, brought food for the staff every Monday for years. And because she was very frugal and had no family, she left $1 million behind with her belief that kids can do and be anything that they want to be. She advocated for any and everyone and said education was attainable for all of her students. She said, these are my family. She specified that the money should be used, how is it? Let's see. The money should be used for scholarships. 2 graduating seniors a year would get $2,500. Her $1 million donation upped it to $5,000 each. And if they had a 3.0 GPA, they could have 4 years of fellowships. So this is somebody who cultivated good roots and gave them all away without the slightest bit of defilement or anything but the purity of goodness. She invested in her school, and this was done out of true love, it said. One person can make a huge impact. 这位 Orlick 女士啊，她呢是一个高中的顾问呢，她就到最后呢，她就把100万块捐给那个学校，捐给一个基金会，给学生当奖学金用。她呢是怎么样呢？她没有结婚，没有孩子，可是呢，她每天凌晨三点就到了学校，就准备那天的工作。到夏天学生都度假了，她没有了，她就是还是上班了，这样子就准备明年的这个课程什么的。她一开始就是没有上课的学生，常常就是漏掉的，他专门给他们每个学生打电话，告诉他们，哎，还要上课了，你怎么没来呢？然后鼓励他们，然后他说，你到学校就过来看看我，我要证明你到了啊，这样子呢，所以他自己生活过得非常朴素了，结果呢，没有多少钱用了，可是呢，慢慢的就100万所以他们都说这是一个人，可是他的关系很大，one person can make a huge impact，一个人影响力会太大。他投资给他的学生，他投资给他的 community，他的群人，他投资他的学校，结果他是爱心而做。There you go. That's Miss Orlick, a true person who followed the principle of giving the good parts to others and taking the short end of the stick herself. In the end, she could really make a difference. 她呢自己吃亏，不享受，结果呢福报很大。All right, that's a story. Yes, indeed. Now, here's where we are in our story of Master Shenzong. We will continue next week with the 10 Transferences. Ready? Here we go. 汝是经15日出犯言，2日风雪迷失道路，至一小沙岭，与猎人试道，渡黑山至加必士晋国，周4000余里，北背雪山，王自差利种也，名略有威，统时余伯，张至齐都，汪公诸生兵出城来应。Traveling for 15 days, the master came out of Bamiyan, but he encountered a snowstorm where he lost his way for 2 days, wandering in the mountains. At the small sandy peak, he met hunters who showed him the way. After crossing Black Mountain, he reached the domain of Kapisa. This country was 4,000 li in circuit. It bordered on the snow mountain in the north. The king was a kshatriya, a warrior. Being a powerful man of great ability, he ruled over more than 10 countries. When the master approached the capital, the king and the monks came out of the city to welcome him. Where was it? It was right here. This is Kafiristan. 大师就到这里来，你看他是好不好过的一个地方。Kafiristan， yeah， 这里这么辛苦 ，yeah，OK， 就是在这阿富汗，在这里。离喀布现在的首都不远，他的目的是这里， 印度在南边，可是他到这里，你看这个雪山就在这儿，他还要过这个最不好过的地方。So he is here in this area, and look at what he's got to cross to get down to. He's not far from Kabul, Jalalabad, Peshawar. Yeah. 伽蓝白于所，主生相争，故于腰过所住。有一小圣寺，名沙罗迦，相传云是习汉天子子，至于此时作业。起次僧言：我是本汉天子而作，今从彼来，现欲过我寺。法师见其因至，又同旅会信法师是小圣僧，亦复不欲举大成寺，随即就停。The city contained more than 100 monasteries, and the monks vied with one another to invite him to stay. One Theravada monastery was called as Salaka. According to tradition, it was built at the time when a prince of the emperor of China was sent to Kapisa as a hostage. The monks of this monastery said, our monastery was built by the son of the emperor of China, and now, as you come from there, you should stay in our place first. Seeing they were sincere, and as his companion Prajnakara was a Theravada monk, he didn't desire to live in a Mahayana monastery. The master accepted the invitation. Okay. So, 至子造寺时，又藏无量珍宝于佛院东门南，大圣王祖下，拟后修补伽蓝，诸僧贺恩，处处无必图画之子之行，且安居日，复为讲诵述服，代代相传，于今为习。When the hostage prince built the monastery, he buried a vast amount of valuables under the feet of the great deity in the south of the eastern gate of the Buddha hall for the purpose of defraying the cost of future repairs. Whoa. Out of gratitude, the monks had painted the figure of the hostage prince in frescoes everywhere in the monastery. They performed religious services for his benefit at the beginning and end of each rainy season. This had been done generation after generation without cessation till the present time. Okay, did you get that? So a prince of China was taken hostage and brought all the way here to Afghanistan. And he was able to build a monastery after living there for a while. And he made an investment in the future, repairs of that place. He buried valuables under the feet of a great statue in the southeastern gate for the purpose of defraying the cost of future repairs. That's really interesting. He invested, he deposited money for the future. And the monks of now, which was the future then, said thank you by making a ceremony for the image. 所以那个从中国来的这个太子，他怎么样呢？就造个庙在这个阿富汗，然后他那一笔金子就卖到一个佛像或者天人上的脚底下，就说将来你要修理这个道场，可以用这个钱，很有意思，投资在那里，所以那边的出家众很感恩，很感激。Okay, ready? 今有恶王贪暴，欲夺僧宝，使人觉神足下，地变大动，其神顶上有鹦鹉鸟像，见其发觉真语精明，忘记尊重，皆系闷倒，居而还退。An evil king who was covetous and cruel recently intended to seize the treasures belonging to the monks. He ordered his men to dig under the feet of the statue, but the earth quaked. The figure of a parrot on top of the deity flapped its wings and screamed in alarm when it saw the men digging. Good for you, parrots. The king and his soldiers fell down unconscious. Finally, they went away in fear. Yeah, all right. 那个巫王啊，哦，他想听到那个故事，他要偷那个钱，就让出家人没有了。结果呢，有一个聪明的鹦鹉鸟，我这边的鹦鹉鸟会不会这么聪明？他们就在那个上面就看到了，就大声叫。结果这个有地震，嘣嘣嘣，然后这些偷钱的这些小偷了就跌倒了。法界阵于今命亡，尊重西门岛，闷岛，聚而还退。哇哦！虽有速导波，相论此摧毁。生于取宝，修营地海震吼，无感尽解。In the monastery, a stupa had become worn. The monks wished to take out the treasure to repair it, but the earth quaked with a roar. Nobody dared get close. 哎呀，怎么办呢？那个出家人要用正式要用那个钱，可是呢，那个地一样震动，怎么办？怎么办呢？哎呦，法师济智，众皆聚集，共请法师陈说先事。法师公道神所，分享告曰：至此元仓此宝，你引功德，今开施用，诚是其实，愿见吾王之音，少记为言之德，如梦主者，虚者，如蒙虚者，藏自观开，称至经术，以复所思。如法修造，不令虚废，为圣之令，愿吹体察。OK，言气明人觉之，依然无还。身七八尺得一大通气，中有黄金数百斤，明珠数十克，大众欢喜，无不皆付。法师寄于寺下座。Yeah, I guess he did. When the master arrived, the monks assembled and told him about the event. He and the monks went to the deity and prayed to him with the burning of incense, saying, when the hostage prince stored up his treasure, he intended it to be used for meritorious deeds. It is now time to bring it out for use. I wish you would discern our true mind and relax your sense of responsibility. With your permission, I will open up the treasure and find out the exact amount before I hand it over to the authorities and request them to repair the stupa without wasting any money. Being a divine deity, you may understand our mind. Saying so, the master asked the people to dig the ground. They did so with no trouble. They dug for 7 or 8 feet, unearthed a large bronze vessel containing several hundred caddies of gold and many lustrous pearls. The monks were delighted, and they all praised the master. The master stayed in this monastery for the summer retirement. Oh man, look at this. How cool is this? Now, so what is so the original prince who built the place came a long time ago, but it was still in memory. They still knew what had happened. And the Sangha, you knew that underneath this spirit image was a lot of treasure, a lot of wealth, super valuable. And somehow the word got out so that non-monks, people had nothing to do with the monastery, wanted to steal it. They wanted to make it theirs, although they had no right to do so. And so somehow the story was passed on. And as they were digging, they had their doubts. Is it really there? It was so long ago. And the parrot alarm goes off. Rack, 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 rack. And the earth quakes and they fall down in a stupor. They lose consciousness. Guess what? It's real. It's really real. This is a magical place. And there's something invisible but powerful in charge. So they run away. And then the virtuous person shows up. And what does he do? He explains. He talks reasonably, making common sense, and also promising that there's going to be no skullduggery, there's going to be no cheating. All of the money or whatever the wealth is going to be used to benefit the original intention. Now, notice all of the stories of Master Shenzong have him showing respect unless the person involved is insulting or harming the Dharma. Then Master Shenzong speaks truth to power, right? But otherwise, here he is laying it on to the divine, what does he call him? Divine deity. He says, Yuan Cui, let's see here, Wei Shen Zhiling. He says, your intelligent magical spirit certainly can understand what we're about, right? So he's praising the power of the spirit to know that his intent is proper, so relax. So saying they dug, out comes the stuff, gold and pearls. The monks were delighted. Now they can rebuild their stupa. They praise the master. This is, on one hand, it's magic. On the other hand, it's just goodness. This is virtue in action. And spiritual statues can divine it, can tell it. Ordinary people living in Afghanistan, monks and kings alike, see Master Shenzong and just 五体投地 bow to him. 一方面，你可以说，哇，这么生灵啊，这个传说有这么大笔钱在这个神像族底下，很多年前是做的，还在吗？没人看到了。然后呢，那个话传到恶人的耳朵，他想透了，他就贪心一动，他要挖出。可是呢，一开始那个鹦鹉浩地，就说大家小心，大地一种震动，哇，他们就跌倒了，就昏迷危险，他们就怕了，就走了。然后呢，玄奘大师他就来了，因为他有功德，他就讲话，他讲事实，他说：“你这个神灵，应该知道我们的意思是完全清白，我们愿意跟着原来的愿，那个本愿去做，所以时间到了，你可以就让我们这里出家众用这个钱，就是跟着那个原来的这个斋主那个法师的意思，那个太子的意思，然后讲真实，他说我们会注意让那个钱用的相当，所以你放心好了。然后就这么说那个神灵有人讲他的好话他说你这么有他心通的这个大神呢，你应该跟着这个本愿去做了果然就这样做了那个钱宝珠出来了，出家人很高兴，赞叹这么有德行的出家众，所以他们在那儿过那个夏令营。Oh, wonderful. This is so incredible to have I keep saying empty cloud, Master Shenzong stepping forward with virtue to make things happen the way they should. This is truly being a blessing, a 福天就说心知念觉真福天， 妄念不起，生名贵，真富贵；信智念觉，真富贵；妄念度尽，真福天。Master Hua would say, when your mind stops and your thoughts end, this is true wealth and nobility. When your false thinking ends forever, you are a true field of blessing. So that's our teacher. Let's dedicate merit here. Practice like the Bodhisattvas. Every living being, our minds as one and deal with life. Share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find in unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Furthermore, we can bow to the Buddhas here. Please join me. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, it's going to do it for us for today. Thanks for being patient when my internet went down. Amitofo. All right. See you all next week, everyone. Amitofo. Bye for now.